Hello, everyone. This is Brother Benson, and I'm joined with my good brother, Miguda. Miguda, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm very good.
Yep.
Extremely good. I'm just
Uh-huh.
feeling cold. We have been experiencing hot season, but today it was all of a sudden it turns to be cold.
Mm-hmm. Kwa siku yako imekuwaje?
Siku yangu imekuwa vyema, niko swadakta. Siku yangu ni vyema na
Mm-hmm.
nimeshinda salama, na nashukuru Mungu, hali ya maisha iko fiti na vile
Yeah.
vile kila mtu ako sawa.
Okay, asante kusikia kwamba hali ya maisha iko vyema, kwa sababu unapata kwamba mara mingi unapata kwamba tunapata habari kwamba maisha si vizuri vile, lakini kama wewe unaona kwamba kuna nyepesi kidogo hapo, tunashukuru Mungu. Na kuna mambo mengi ambayo yametokea leo. Kabla tujaenda, wacha tuchukue nafasi hii kusalimia rafiki yetu Gypsy Corner. Anatusalimia pale kwa comment section and say hi brother Benson and the team. Unamwambia vipi?
Kwanza ningependa kukaribisha katika kipindi chetu na vile vile kupokea salamu zake na pia kumsalimia pia mimi nimsalimie hai. Alafu pia ni vizuri juu alinitangulia katika kipindi, alikuja mbele yangu. Sasa ni vyema kumpongeza na kumkaribisha katika kipindi chetu. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, hata mimi pia nampongeza kwa kuingia mbele yetu na kutukumbusha. Nakumbuka tulikuwa tunazungumza kidogo, tukaona akatusalimia, tukasema bwana, muda ndio imefika. Kabla tujaenda, hebu nataka unisaidie kutafsiri hii maneno. Mtu amesema hivi, kumsaidia mtu sio kigezo cha kupewa thamani. Wewe kwako unaitafsiriaje?
Umesema ati kumsaidia mtu sio kigezo cha kumpatia thamani?
Sio kigezo cha kumpatia thamani. Kwa mfano, naweza kukupatia kwa mfano, labda ulikuwa na shida fulani, mimi ndio wewe nikakuja nikakusaidia. Na baada ya kusaidia, labda wewe labda unaweza labda nipatia thamani, na thamani inaweza kuwa si tu labda kitu ambacho kinaonekana, lakini thamani labda unakuwa unaweza sema nimekupatia gold, ama kuna, unajua venye mtu anapatiwa thamani. Sasa anasema kwamba kumsaidia mtu si kigezo cha kupaya mtu thamani. Sasa mtu anaweza uliza, kwani mtu apatiwe thamani kwa nini?
Bado sijakuelewa vizuri, lakini kumsaidia mtu, yule anayesaidia mtu ndio pia anapatiwa thamani, ama yule anasaidiwa?
Sasa ni hivi, mara mingi, wacha sasa labda naweza katoa ufafanuo ama nifafanue zaidi. Ni kwamba labda tuseme uko katika kijijini mwenyu, ambapo labda kuna jambo labda kinatokea, labda kuna mtu anapitia shida kimaisha, alafu wewe mwenyewe kwa ukarimu wako ukamsaidia. Sasa ni kwamba ukisaidiana isiwe kigezo kwamba kama tunakupatia thamani, tusikupatie thamani juu kwa sababu wewe ni mtu wa kusaidia. So kuna njia mingi ambayo labda tunaweza tumia kukupatia thamani yako, ama tuseme kwamba thamani yako ni thamani aina gani. Labda tuseme kwamba wewe ni mtu ambaye msikivu, wewe ni mtu ambaye anasikiliza, wewe ni mtu ambaye unaishi na watu vizuri, unaona. So labda ikuwe kama unapatiwa thamani, ikuwe vigezo zikuwe vingi ya kukupatiwa thamani. Isiwe tu kwanza thamani yako unaweza tupatiwa kwa sababu wewe ni mtu ambaye anasaidiana. Sasa unanipata?
Sasa nimekupata. Ningependa kusema, ingawa unapata kuna watu tofauti tofauti katika pale tunapoishi. Sasa kuna wale wenye huenda kusaidia wenzao. Sasa ukisaidia mwenzako lazima umsaidie kwa roho mkunjufu na ikuwe roho safi. Si wakati unasaidia watu tegemea kwamba utapatiwa thamani juu. Pengine unaweza pata watu wako na shida, sijakataa, watu wako na shida, hata sisi tuko na shida. Sasa usaidizi huenda kutokea pande popote. Pengine kuna vile Mungu alifanya mambo zake akakuunga na destiny connector, yule mwenye ambaye anaweza kusaidia. Kwa mfano, pengine mimi nataka kwenda kutazama mechi ya Harambee Stars na Madagascar, lakini rafiki yangu huenda kuniambia Miguda, nimekubaia tiketi hapo na nimekubaia jezi, enda ukaone mpira. Sasa atakuwa amenisaidia kufika pale uwanjani, lakini yeye si ati anapatiwa thamani wa kunisaidia. Kuna tu wale watu wako na roho nzuri ya kusaidia watu, roho wazi, wanasaidia, lakini haimaanishi ama haidhibitishi ya kwamba yule anayesaidia mtu yeye lazima apatiwe thamani. Thamani huweza tokeana na mambo mengine, si mambo ya kusaidia watu. Pengine vile umesema, unaweza kuwa mtu mtulivu na pia unaweza kuwa mtu mwenye si mtulivu. Sasa unaweza pata thamani.
Sijui nini imetokea.
Unanisikia?
Unanipata Miguda?
Mimi nakupata vizuri sana.
Okay, sawa sawa.
Nasema pengine si lazima ati usaidiane upatiwe thamani. Thamani unaweza pata tu kwa njia, si lazima ukuwe mtu. Sasa kama hiyo ndio njia ya kupeana thamani, utapata kuna watu watakusaidia tu ili wapate thamani, lakini hawana ile roho ya kusaidia mtu. Unapata kitu kama hiyo. Sasa lazima ukuwe na hiyo roho na utu ya kusaidia watu, si lazima ati kuna ile marejeo unategemea. Nadhani ningependa kutafsiri kwa maoni yangu hivyo.
Kwa sababu unajua hilo jambo ni mzito sana, labda ukitathmini na uiangalia kwa undani zaidi, kwa sababu mara mingi unapata kwamba wanasiasa wetu wanatuongoza huwa wanapatiwa thamani, na thamani yao wanapatiwa kwa kigezo cha labda amesaidia, lakini ukiangalia kwa kweli unapata kwamba katika himaya yake hana ile hadhi, tuseme hivyo, ya uongozi hana ile hadhi ya uongozi. Tunasema tukiweka katika hadhi ya uongozi ama hadhi yake ni haina hata heshima kwa jamii, lakini kwa sababu ni mtu ambaye amekuja kama kusaidia, unapata kwamba sasa kitu ambacho watu wanamtumia ama watu ambao kigezo watu wanatumia, wale wafuasi wake wanatumia, thamani yake anapatiwa kwa sababu tu labda yeye ni mtu ambaye anasaidiana sana. Unapata hapo tutakuwa tunatumia kigezo kimoja kupatia na mtu thamani, utapata kwamba tutakuwa tunakosea, na unapata kwamba mara mingi tunajipata saa zingine tukana maviongozi ambao matendo yao na matarajio yenye tulikuwa tunatarajia kutoka kwa katika uongozi wao ni kinyume na yale tulikuwa tunatarajia, kwa sababu labda kigezo ambao tulikuwa tumetumia kuwapatia thamani ilikuwa tu kigezo moja tu, kwa sababu yeye ni mtu wa kusaidia. Alafu pia lazima pia uangalie kwamba kama mtu anasaidia labda kifedha na ni mtu ambaye labda unapata kwamba hali yake ya kupata kuna maswali mengi kuliko majibu. Unanipata?
So unapata vizuri sana. Unapata vizuri sana.
So hapo ndio unapata sasa inakuwa ni naona kama ananiambia the is buffing. Tutaangalia, naona kama labda kuko na shida, lakini tutajaribu kurekebisha. So hapo ndio tulikuwa tunaongelea. Asante sana ndugu yangu Miguda kwa hayo ambao tumesema kwa saizi. Hiyo ndio kigezo ambao sisi tulikuwa tunatoka nayo, jambo ambalo tulikuwa tunatoka nao leo. Lakini pia kuna mambo mengi, there are so many things that have really happened. Let me take this opportunity also to thank John Ogada on the Facebook. Is watching us and say that keep it up, Brother Benson Bilia, you are doing a good job. Thank you for that. Now, Miguda, we want to look at the genesis of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga and President William Ruto. From the time their friendship started immediately after the Gen Z protest, it started as the friendship or the agreement between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto on how to see how Kenya can become unified. Actually, the first item, especially when they came together, was about uniting Kenyans. That was it. Then after the uniting of Kenyans, we saw the introduction of expert. Then after introduction of expert, we saw the 10-point agenda. No, we saw the AU. Then after AU, there was Raila at least towards some areas to ask people, what do they want me to do later? Then what happened was the 10-point agenda came, then signing of memorandum of understanding, and today we are seeing PG. So it means there is a development in terms of political that they're doing, that it's headed somewhere. And today there was a joint PG meeting. And in the joint PG meeting, there are quite some observations that we made. I made, maybe there's some that you made also, you can point out. I made one, the absence of Edwin Sifuna. That was one. The absence of the chair lady of both ODM and UDA. That also was something that I noticed. There was also the absence of Ledama Olekina. When you look very keenly, there was also the presence of Simbarati Osotsi. The governor for Mombasa was not there. So, but these are some of the things that we will be discussing. And also, when you look at the agenda was so much focused on the NADCO report, 10-point agenda, and implementation of MOU. So basically, we also see the presence of Mutua, Makao Mutua, and as you know, Makao Mutua was I think he was gazetted at he was appointed as one of the leaders or one of the Kenyans who are going to see the implementation on how compensation is going to take place. So that is something that we saw. But like there is also constitutional crisis that we might ask, you might help us with, because now when we come to accountability and transparency of the parliament, because like if you have a joint PG, it means you're working together. So what about the accountability? What does the Constitution say? Because the Constitution, when you look at it, it says that when you go to election, there will be the minority and the majority. And the minority will always put the majority on check. What about in this case? How will you put the parliament on check if both of them are working together? And another thing also that we are seeing is that like majority of the committees have been taken by the ODM. Remember, it was ODM was in the coalition of Azimio. So I don't know whether they are representing or they are in that as Azimio or not. So those are some of the things that we are going to discuss and see where we are at this particular moment. Maybe to start with, what is your take on the PG that took place in Karen?
I just want to be very brief on the PG that took place in Karen. First, I want to also state that they insisted Sabina Chege to be the chairperson of the Jubilee Party, ignoring the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. The PG has come whereby there have been so many interaction between President William Ruto and Raila Odinga. They started interacting. I think initially it was NADCO report, and NADCO report was as a result of the demonstrations by the CORD, by the Azimio. They demonstrated against the result of William Ruto. They demonstrated on the high cost of living, and also they demonstrated so that people can get their rights, those who are killed. So as a result of that demonstration, they sat, the so-called bipartisan, to discuss. And you saw even Kalonzo Musyoka was representing the Azimio and the Shunga was representing the Kenya Kwanza. From there, they have moved from the expert AU thing. So I just want to focus on the PG today. Today's PG, I can just also report to you that I saw the two parties leaders present. I saw the SG for Ford Kenya present, and the SG of ODM was missing in action. Babu Owino was missing in action. Caleb Miss was missing in action. Those are the people who have been trying to have a divergent opinion within the party ODM. Missing in action, it means that they were not part and parcel of that PG. But I also heard Junaid saying one thing, that it is always not about, you have talked about the issue, I think we discussed later, the issue of accountability. and I'll like to discuss it in details later. It's a very interesting topic. How now we're going to be accountable, and also the issue of parliaments are being compromised. They are trying to defend themselves that they're not being compromised. It's just an issue of lobbying. So I think that's my take on the today's PG.
Okay, thank you so much. There's so many things that came out from that speech. Before we go into details, especially from President was talking about the committees. He has insisted that there's the committee members who collected up to around 10 million, especially when they were passing. I think it was the money laundering bill. And he did not name, and he said that as somebody who is consuming the intelligence, he has the information. But what has made president not to take action if you know that this kind of money was taken, and who was giving this money, so that accountability and transparency and fighting corruption can be, instead of just mentioning? Why do you think that the president does not want to direct the relevant authorities to take action, and the people who were involved should be brought to book?
I just want to agree with you that it is the president who has just communicated that. First, it was the issue of anti-money laundering bill. It was anti-money laundering bill, whereby the president said that the committee which were responsible to carry out the text actually were bribed to pass the bill around that amount which he cited. To me, I can just say, if you look at the president is the chair of the executive, and one of the role of the executive is to check the parliament. The doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances, which we have discussed into detail previously, it talks about the president as the head of the executive, who will ensure that he can even dissolve that parliament, and he also has a right to summon that parliament. So if there is any committee that has been engaging into corruption, he has a duty to summon. And it's very clear in the constitution that one of the roles of in terms of checks and balances, the president can dissolve parliament as directed by the chief justice, and also the president can as well summon the parliament. Summon the parliament means that he can even summon the committee that are responsible to carry out the tax of anti-money laundering bill, who were involved into corruption, can be summoned by the president, so that they can explain details why did they happen. And by the way, the president himself, is the person who assent to the bills. The presidential assent is done by him. So even that, if they bring that bill into his desk for assenting, he will not assent. He will dissent instead, because he has that authority. Because he will say, he will argue that the committee was compromised. The committee was given money, because I have that veto power to ensure that put my assent to the bill. Then I can decline to assent. Why did he assent the bill, which is saying that there was compromise of the committee? So to me, who compromised committee? Where did the money come from? And which of checks and balances? Other than summoning the committee, he also asked that last pen to assent. Why could he decline the assenting of that anti-money laundering bill? So is a jabber.
Now, maybe just to crown it before we leave this issue of the corruption that the president is talking about, and president is talking about also, like, that the governor, of around, he was talking about 150 million, and we ask, like, who can get that? But now you come and ask yourself, we've seen this empowerment going around the country, and the empowerment, nobody actually knows, especially where the money coming from. And is it also appropriate now, because, like, the president is bringing this idea also, especially the MPs who are involved in the empowerment, they can also come clear and clean and tell us, okay, this is where this money is coming from, because, like, this is something that has been in the public domain. Especially people are asking, where is the money coming from? And today I had an opportunity to watch one of the TV stations when a member of parliament was saying that this is our own contribution, our own contribution, that is a personal contribution. But you look at your own contribution with what you're contributing on a month, on a weekly basis, vis-a-vis what you are earning, and we know some of them do have the mortgage. It doesn't add up.
What you have said is what one of the money laundering activities. Money laundering is cleaning dirty money. So dirty money, in a simple terms, in a layman's understanding, is just to clean that dirty money. So to me, dirty money has been withdrawn and it must be in cash. To launder money, you must put it in cash. So the money has been withdrawn, which is supposed to carry out specific function like education, health, or maybe the money that should be used to sponsor the National Intelligence Service. It has been drawn into cash, then given to certain people to work with it. So there is no accountability. So it's just like they are cleaning dirty money. That is corruption. Because the money which is intended to carry out certain tasks has been diverted to do politics in the country. And that's why if you ask them, where is that money coming from? No one is ready to answer you because they know very well that it is a dirty money which is they are declaring. That's what we call money laundering. So he was justifying that indeed the Anti-Money Laundering Act was passed, and right now the money laundering is still continuing. And the people who are leading the money laundering are them because they are trying to clean dirty money by carrying the cash to the mama, carrying the cash to border, carrying the cash to each and every person. By doing so, I think that's where that money is coming from, and no one can come and explain to you because it is a corrupt, it is a dirty money, the corrupt money.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, and I think like because the president has vowed to arrest the members of parliament, especially, or the members of that committee who are involved in this, and we are waiting when should that one happen. Now let's come to the PG today, and when you look at PG especially, and it is a replica of what happened during the Jubilee government. Remember, during the Jubilee government, also after the broad-based government came into place, we saw the president called the PG. But what followed is a purge. Remember, people like Duale had to suffer the purge. Kipchumba Murkomen, Kithure Kindiki, Susan Kihika, the purge that happened. Do you expect some purge to happen, especially with people like Sifuna, Babu, who of late have shown dissenting, especially views concerning the broad-based government? We lost Miguda, and I know Miguda will be coming back as we still wait for Miguda. Let me take this. Thank you so much, Mr. Eric Osewe. You have come a long way. Let the world get your views and other views also. I'm proud of you. Thank you so much, my brother, and I hope you're doing well. We are just looking at the political development that is taking place, and this is bringing us back to where the Right Honorable Prime Minister and President William Ruto came, especially to start talking. Miguda really reminded that this started at the NADCO report, and that is where the interaction took place. And I've always been very, 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 very much curious to know that when we are having conversation and we say that we are building these committees, and they say that the principal, so you find that the principal will be communicating through their proxies, I would say, or through their members who are in the NADCO report. You go to the NADCO report and come and report to us. So during that time, they don't talk, and all of a sudden now, after all the writings, and now they start to talk. So Miguda, thank you so much for coming back. I was just asking you, are we going to expect some purge to happen, especially after what happened, the PG?
Yeah, we can anticipate anything. We can anticipate purge. We can anticipate anything because I just want to write on a point. When Junet was speaking, Junet said that to them, whatever party does, Raila Odinga said, it becomes a law. So to them, whatever has been said by Raila is a law. So why do we go to this NADCO report or this whatever process if they know that only an individual opinion will become a law? So they should not waste our time telling our God through circles, knowing very well that whatever Raila will say will become the law. And the purge might come because we understand that there were some people who are missing in action, and also they are trying to force the composition or the union between the KK, the ODM, Jubilee, Ford Kenya, UPEO, and even that OPIA, the MDG of David Ochieng, and that one Ali Roba. They're trying to have a united force against the opposition to support the quo. So they can introduce other seats to other people, and maybe people like MDG can get one, Upia, Upeo, Jubilee. And this is why I wanted to talk about the issue of the doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances. You understand that?
Okay, before you come to that, let us, I will write that we are coming to that, because like that is also quite much very much important, and we have to know when should, is there a time that we suspend the constitution? Because if the constitution, I will engage you on that, but before that, when we look at the journey of the broad-based government, especially where it started to where it is today, and for quite some time, I would say that it was not very easy, especially for even the Honorable Prime Minister to come out publicly and say that, okay, we are in government. For quite a long time, they decided, okay, we've donated the experts, but we're not in government, But what happened today is this one to cement and come out in public and say that, okay, now we are in.
I think it is possible, because it's more of an action, because they have been speaking, they have been reading resolution, they have been reading party positions, they have been saying we are in, we are out, but now they have come together. You understand, today they were joint, the party leaders were there, and also they were speaking as the majority party in the House, because they were talking about the bill making process, they were talking about the committees, they were talking about budget making process. You understand, most of those roles are being done by the majority party. So they were just justifying that indeed they are in working progress to ensure that they proceed with the work of the majority of the party in the House. And I can confirm to you that today's PG, to me, it was very significant that they are working seamlessly to ensure that they just want to cement and make sure that they go beyond 2027. And it was very important, you saw, when those parties which were present, because you understand, when they go back to have a structured dialogue on how they will work 27, people will be given positions the way Wetangula and David were given 30% of the Luya nation. So it is very important for you to be present there, so that whenever they will discuss about the issue of the Speaker of the House, maybe they can give the MDG party or the Nopeu or the Upia or the Jubilee, that is Sabina Chege, and also the majority people like UDM and UDA can reap more when it comes to the issue of the budget share, majority, and other issues. Purge might come, and when Purge come, Purge will affect I think it's going to affect the UDA affiliates, because they are the people who are missing in action. But we understand the ODM has been very adamant that they're the minority party in the House, and they haven't surrendered their slots. And up now, they have ensured that they have given anyone, they have rewarded people those all slots which were left empty. So I believe that maybe it can affect the UDA, the majority in the House, whereby some people might demand more, because you understand, even the current budget chair currently in the House is the ODM lawmaker from Alego Usonga. So to me, it is more of whereby if you are not in government, the so-called you are either in or out. You can't be in, given some lucrative position, but you are not with us. So you are either with us or against us. I think we're gonna see some patch. It can happen, but most importantly, I wanted to say that to me, there is a union and there is a formal working arrangement between ODM and UDA, and it's no longer a secret, and no one can just state that we are not in government. They are in government. They are working. If you don't want to be in government, there are many avenues you can be. So for the ODM people, let them be where they are, because that's the position. And you saw there's the presence of party leader in that, and you understand what I told you. Junaid said the party leader position is final, is law. So to them, they are in government.
Okay, I saw our good friend Barack, and I think he dropped a little bit, but I will still have to engage him. And sometimes it makes you question yourself that we're talking about of the political parties. If members of the party, especially going with what the minority leader of the parliament, especially Honorable Junet Mohammed, say that what the party leader says is final. And at what point do you have that independent decision making of the party if you don't agree with your party leader?
That's what was at stake, because people were saying sometimes they can be in the house or in the committee whereby they are trying to make a bill, but you might have a different opinion, or you might have a dissenting opinion. You might have a dissenting opinion from the majority. Then they will tell you you have a right to dissent, and you can write your dissent, or you can type your dissent, and it will be recorded that person A or person C dissented. But what will carry out the day is the direction from the party. So to me, the party leader is not in the National Assembly. So it means National Assembly is being run outside. Because for in the case Raila is outside the parliament, Ruto is outside the parliament, but they must take instruction from Ruto or Raila. So to me, parliament is not independent. Parliament is being influenced by decision from outside. Most of the political parties leaders, they influence the making process. So the issue of independent in thinking, independent in bill making process, independent of mind, to me, it's no longer there. So people are just in parliament by expensive suits. They are just with the good grammar, but whatever they are doing in terms of legislation, it is not independent. They are being influenced by party leader. And that's why I also believe that, like Junet said, that they have no option but rely on their party leader. And also I heard them saying that even when they were in the 12th parliament, there are laws which they were just passing for the sake to please the president. And they knew very well that Raila was going to be the president. So they said, once Raila becomes the president, we will ensure that we amend all these laws. But so you understand that there are times whereby you can just pass a law not on the interest of the public or on the interest, but just to please the current president, but whenever you get an opportunity in next parliament, you can amend it. But the question is, how sure are you that you're gonna make it back to parliament in the 14th government? If you don't make it and you have passed a bad law, the bad law will remain there forever, because we never knew the intent of you passing it.
But the reason why sometimes I do feel like they have that surety, because first of all is the loyalty to the party and the loyalty to the party leader, provided that you have a very good rapport with the party leader. And looking at the population or the region where you are coming from, there's a possibility, because for instance, sometimes you can get a direct party ticket whereby you don't have that opportunity to have a competition with your competitor. You get direct party ticket, and after getting the direct party ticket, then there's also that a time when comes that we come on a conciliatory tone as a party. We say that, okay, we know we had a problem, but now this is what is happening. For us to be very, very, very forceful in the parliament, that I need all the soldiers that are aligned to me. So it ends up making sense to the voters, and what they say, okay, they've said there's nothing that we can do, but let us just vote.
I agree with you, but remember also, you have used a very nice example that you must have your soldiers. But remember also, soldiers do die in a war. When we are in a war, soldiers have a right to die and have a right to be killed. So, in the case of a death, for instance, previously so if Ongondovere could have passed in legislation and he happened to die the way he died because he was slain. So now, who will be there to show us the intent of Ongondovere? Was the deceased having any intent of the public interest? Was the deceased influenced by the party leader, or was the deceased just passing for the sake of passing it, knowing that it will make it back to the 14th government? But unfortunately, we're gonna not see him in the 14th government. So things can happen. So even if there's purity of loyalty, but there things can happen. You can be incapacitated. Maybe you can lack the capacity to you can go insane, and maybe you can be killed. or maybe you can be recalled. If our recall is functioning, you can be recalled. So there's, even if you have surety that you can get the party ticket because of the psycho-personality, but there are other consideration things you must put.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Well, like, it is quite much complex, especially when you look at our political landscape and how it happens. And also, we saw the presence of Makao Mutua, and he was given an opportunity to address the PG. Among other things, he talked about the compensation and looking into law. The bill that will protect the protester. And people are drawing this attention. Maybe they can push the bill of Article 137. Remember the amendments that were being pushed by the Nairobi legislature, women rep, about areas and where your protest should, and the number of people who should be protesting. Do you think such like bills can find their way during this process of compensation, as also they look at modified some of the rights on the constitution concerning that?
I don't believe that one, and I don't buy that, because you understand that even when Makamu talk about the protection of the protesters, wanted to ensure that the protesters are peaceful, the protesters are not killed, the protesters are not injured, the protesters remain to be safe in the in the demonstration, and the police officers understand their duty. I think that what he was trying to push. But if you want to bring the amendment of one article, the right to demonstrate, to me, there are things that you cannot change the constitution, because first, that is a right, that's a bill of right to peaceful. The word, it is peaceful. You have to do it peacefully. So what do you want to, if you must remove the word peaceful, you must put the issue of violence, assembly, picket, and demonstration. So to me, I think the constitution supersedes any law, even even if it's an act of parliament, be it an act of parliament, be it a statutory which has been brought by the parliament, be it customary law, and it's very clear in the supremacy of the constitution that any law, including customary law, that is inconsistent with the constitution, is inconsistent to an extent of inconsistency. So there is no way any act can supersede that provision of that article.
So look at it in this way, and maybe when you look at the Article 137, that gives you the right to protest. That the picketing, right? That is where we find it, right? If I don't want
37.
Yeah. And look at and how it described. So let's say, for instance, now the committee that will be headed by Mutua, what is it that they can do about it? Are they going to modify it, or what do you think they can give, especially better than what we have?
Modifying what? You can't modify the Bill of Rights. You are not modifying anything.
But
because it's like
no, the reason why I'm asking you this, the reason why I'm asking you is because they're going to look at the rights of the protesters, right? Is there provision that protects that in Article 37 or in any other article in our constitution, especially when you are going to protest?
There are clear provisions that.
But now, when is this clear provision? Then why do you think that now we have to investigate it more? Or are we going to look how it works?
That's just a public order. They want to introduce a public order. You understand them?
Yeah, okay.
Maybe any statutory law, but like I've made myself clear, it's like you are telling me right to life, that I want to modify right to life. How are you going to modify right to life? Of course, I have a right to life. I have a right to live. I have a right to privacy. That I have a right to express myself. Like right now, how do you want? We have limitation in the Bill of Rights, and like I told you that when it comes to the freedom of expression, we are limited. We are not allowed to incite to violence. We are not we are not allowed to spread propaganda. We are not allowed also to spread hatred or advocate for war. We are not permitted. So anybody who's doing that one, he can be arrested and charged in a court of law. But provided we are within the confine of the law, we are good to go. So it's like you are telling us, I have a right to life. Then I want to bring a public order or an act to modify right to life. Once I'm a human being, I'm born, I'm freely, and I should live freely. There's nothing like right to life. And also, there's something like you want to modify my right to life. It's just like this one. If whatever course you're going to do, whatever amendment, whatever statutory laws, whatever public order, it remains that you must be peacefully and armed, demonstrate, picket, and assemble. And like I've told you, Constitution is the supreme law of the land. There's no any other law in the hierarchy that is superior to the Constitution. Even if you bring the international laws, or even you bring at the covenants, even if not the convention, our Constitution supersedes. That's why, even when you're dealing with all these laws and you rely on the Constitution, you emerge the victors, because, like I've told you, in the supremacy of the Constitution, it's very clear that any law, including customary law, including public order, including what statutory order, which is inconsistent or which contravene the Constitution, is inconsistent to the extent of inconsistency. It is not applicable. So Makao Mutua knows this. They know this. Kindiki knows this. They know this. They know it very well. They were while they were in Azimio, they were singing to us these songs. Today they are in government. They want to modify it. So you understand, it's politics.
Oh, okay, thank you so much, Mr. Miguda. And now, let's come to the PG itself, because we always know that when PG comes, what happens is that we are coming and we want to push for those policies for the government, so that we can make sure that the projects, the bills that we bring in parliament, and anything that government does, we should defend. That is to strengthen. That is the work of the PG. But now, look at it this way. We know in our parliament, immediately after election, we have the minority and the majority. And as it stands, is that the minority must put, or must be, the government in waiting. And if you're the government in waiting, so which means you have to checkmate the government on what they are doing. Where they go wrong, you can raise those alarms. You know, when they want to bring bills that are not favorable, you have to debate them and, and make sure that the bills that are coming in the parliament, especially that are being passed, especially, are bills of greater use, or bills that are very, very good to the public. But now the question is, now from the PG, it means that the ODM and the UDA, or the entire Kenya Kwanza, are going to work together. And there are also committees that are supposed to be headed, or are supposed to be led by the minority. And now you see that those committees, which especially like a public accounts committee, they're being held by ODM, and now at the same time they're having a PG that cements this broad-based government. How is accountability and transparency is going to be achieved? That is one. How are we even going to say that we are the respecter, or we are people who follow the law to the letter?
Thank you very much. First, I want to tell you that there's no accountability, there's no transparency, because already Parliament has been captured, Parliament has been compromised, the lawmakers have been compromised. So there is no accountability, there's no transparency. That's why they want to do things the kangaroo way, because you have said very well that there is this doctrine of separation of powers, checks and balances. The powers were separated differently. Then there must be checks and there must balances within. People tend to focus on the exterior, whereby the parliament, the judiciary, and the executive. Even in that parliament, we still have the interior separation of powers, checks and balances. And look, if you look at the interior part of it, you find out that in that house, you got the majority and the minority. And when we got at the majority and the minority, you find in the majority, we have the budget chair committee. The chair usually come from majority party, and also 12 members committee, and their representation from the minority party. And that's why you find people like Babu Owino, members of the committee of the budget, and they are in ODM. People like Samuel Atandi were members of the budget committee, and they are in ODM. And the chair was Didi Nyoro, as per the constitution. Even previously, Shunga was the chair, and people have been there before. But you understand right now, they have decided to have a chair from the minority party. So when it comes to the issue of budget making process, there's no accountability, because if we are here as the minority party and our chair is the budget chair committee, we cannot put him on toes, because we just ensure that we give him. And remember, also in the same house, we have the public committee, and the public account committee is served by right now. The public account committee ought to have provide oversight to the majority party, and issue of watchdog. They act as the public watchdog, because we can't go to parliament and there are representation. They act as public watchdog. This public watchdog can no longer bite, because there is food in the mouth full, so it cannot bite anymore. So if it cannot bite, the parliament has been captured. The issue of accountability, transparency is no longer there, and the issue of majority and minority, the majority party like the Chungwa, and minority leader like Junet, the Michungwa usually move the motion, and they usually have 15 minutes each. They're the people who can speak more than any other member in the parliament. So whenever there is any bill which has been, the motion has been moved, if there is any bill that does not favor the public interest or the interest of the public or the state, that's why we have people like Junet. They have to counter. So if it's Kuria Chungwa move a motion, who will counter? Who will counter that one? No one. So we no longer have our representation in parliament. Simple. We no longer have our watchdog in parliament. Simple. Parliament has been captured, members have been compromised, and we can no longer, our dog can no longer bite, and they have their way. So accountability, transparency, remove. They are not there.
Okay. So which means any legislation, maybe that will come to the parliament, whether good or bad, it will pass with ease, because like in terms of the numerical that the ODM brings, and the ones that especially those who are allied to Kenya Kwanza also bring, that they tend to have the majority in parliament. But now, at what point do we, especially as member of parliament, and especially when you talk about the position that is being held by Junet Mohammed, at what point do I say that, okay, now it is this time that I should give this position to Azimio? At what point? Because like if you say that the constitution does not allow that, and the constitution also wants what checks and balances even within the parliament itself.
I've said we have the majority. We have the majority and minority. After election, there is always majority party, and there's always minority party. So after election, the minority will sit down, and minority usually have their own PG. Remember?
Yeah. Yes.
Majority usually have their own PG. So in your PG, this is where you're going to divide these slots amongst yourself. That okay, we are the majority party. Who's gonna be the majority leader? Who's gonna be the majority whip? Who's gonna be the budget chair? Who's gonna be the finance chair? Who's gonna be the defense chair? And then you go to minority. Okay, we are the minority. Who's gonna be my minority leader? Who's gonna be minority whip? Who's gonna be the public account committee chair?
Yeah.
So you have to discuss amongst yourselves. So it's up to you people to usually, traditionally, people ought to have voted that people should contest for these seats, then you vote as the PG. But you find out that party leaders usually reward their loyalists. Remember, Ishunga was a loyalist to Ruto, Didi Nyoro was a loyalist to Ruto, they were rewarded. Vis-a-vis Opiyo Wandayi in the Raila team, and Junet and Badi. Those are close allies and loyalist psychopaths. So they were rewarded. But ordinarily, the people should go to secret ballot. They decide, but that is now up to them. I can't decide for them what to do at their level. But what I understand that there is always PG, and this PG will give us out the leadership in the house. And today there was a PG between the majority part and minority part. That's what we're discussing. So if the two have come together and they have one PG, so the question is, who is the majority? Who is the minority? Who should watch the other? Who should not watch the other? Where is our dog? Who should bite? Those are the questions we are asking as the people. Our dog can no longer bite. We don't have a watchdog. We don't have a representation of the minority. So they have been combined together. Now, that is now where they ought to have surrendered these things and join majority side so that they can allow the minority party or minority coalition to continue with the service of the minority, because the role they are doing, how can they oppose a legislation from the majority and they share the same PG? There's no way they're going to oppose. How can they go and watch the allocation and appropriation of budget and they are already in one team? Me, I'm just interested. I don't mind many things. I'm interested on the interior separation of powers, checks and balances, minority and majority, the way it is stipulated in the constitution. If minority and majority have come together, so to me, the issue of accountability to sahau, transparency to sahau, and that's why we are saying it has been compromised, it has been captured. And people were saying, if you are a man enough, can you bring a bill to parliament to impeach Ruto? Okay, who's going to support that bill? Nobody. Because Ruto is enjoying the majority of the house. If Ruto is commanding the majority and minority, how dare you bring such a bill? Who's going to support it? And then people tell you, okay, if you mean Ruto must go and you're a lawmaker, bring that bill to impeach Ruto. They don't know. Ruto cannot be impeached at any circumstances as things stand right now. There's no bill that can impeach Ruto, and Ruto gonna work until that right time. And lastly, the people who are currently in opposition within the house, they don't have numbers.
Yeah.
And that's why they need to work extra hard for the coming election to ensure that they come back with numbers in that house. Minus working extra hard, their president can be impeached, even if they win the elections.
And thank you for that. And that is something that also we will also need to discuss, because especially towards general election, any president who is going to be elected might not sit very pretty in the presidency, because the impeachment process or the impeachment bar, especially when it comes to Kenya, has been lowered. It is quite much very easy for impeachment of any president if you can have what is being told. Because the other day we were getting that there was some money that was going around, especially as to Babu, who was saying that there was a 30,000 that was going around that were given to members of parliament, especially to facilitate the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua. So that is something that we can also discuss one day. Barak, how are you doing?
Good evening. I'm doing well.
Yes. How is your day?
My day was fine, and I'm so happy to be here. Hi to Miguda and all our viewers and the co-panelists.
Papa Fololo. Papa Fololo. Papa Fololo is from Congo. How is Congo doing?
Je m'appelle Zelizeli.
Mtu akisema comment allez-vous? Ama ni jina tu.
La française, Jean-Michel.
Okay. Thank you so much, my brothers, for joining in. We were just talking about what has really happened, and we are looking at the governance. And luckily enough, both of you have just come into the studio at the same time. So that one is make it very good for us to have now a very candid discussion, and we will be looking also constitutionality of what has happened. And maybe to start with you, Barack, what is your take on what happened, the PG, bearing in mind where the journey started, especially immediately the NADCO report? That's how Miguda reminded me, the NADCO report. After the NADCO report, there was the Gen Z uprising, then there was that donating of experts. Then from donating of expert, we had the African AU. Then African AU, Baba tried to do some rounds and asking people what is next you should do. Then the 10-point agenda. Then right now we are seeing now the true actualization of broad-based government by coming up with the PG of the two parties who are working together. So in a nutshell, what is your view on what happened today?
Yeah, what happened today was expected, especially, you know, when two political parties sign agreement, something like an MOU, the 10-point agenda that they signed, it means that they will have, at some point, they will have to work with their members of parliament, because you cannot do so much without having your way at the legislation arm of the government. And any government that is in power that wants to actualize most of the new ideas, normally they tend to control the arm, the legislation arm of the government, because you will need some legislation, you will need some laws to be passed, and that cannot be done if you don't have control over the legislation arm of the government. It has happened before, even during the handshake of Raila and Uhuru. You remember the laws that were being passed at the tail end of Uhuru's regime, so that they can maybe have their way where with the whatever they wanted to do. So that's also going to happen with Ruto and Raila, because normally you will see a small number of members of parliament opposing what they are doing, but normally they usually have their way. The two gentlemen, they come together, usually have their way, because they will work with members of parliament who are aligned to their ideology, their plans, their ideas, and they will even use money sometimes when they are needed to do so, because what they want to do, they will always get their way. But now, is it for the benefit of the Mwananchi? That is normally the big question. Is you coming together to work together to pass whatever you want to pass at the National Assembly or at the Senate? Is it for the good of the people? History will tell us that normally they usually tell us that it is good for us, but it is for their own good or for their own advantage or their own political expediency. Remember, an example is BBI. Remember, BBI had gone through the counties. The counties assemblies passed it. It went to the National Assembly. It was passed. It went to the Senate. It was passed. Now it was just the last step, referendum. But now the High Court came in handy, and it stopped the whole process and declared null and void. So if you critically look at that document, the BBI document, what was it good for the people, or was it good for the leaders, the politicians? So that is what we should ask ourselves. When these guys come together through their political party and they want to come up with some legislation to pass in the parliament, are this legislation for the people? Are this legislation pro people, or are they coming together to tell us that we need to increase some positions, we need to do this, we need to do that, so that they can feel that under their regime, at least they did something to increase either positions at the executive level, or at the National Assembly, or is it allocation that has been increased, the allocation that is going to the counties, or what has really changed? And the changes that are going to be introduced, are they pro people or are they pro leader? So those are the issues that I think we need to discuss. But this history will tell us that it has never been pro people, even though the discussion out in the public domain might be involving the people. But at the end of the day, the regime that will be passed supported by those two parties, I can assure you, the biggest percentage will not be pro people. It will be pro the political elite.
Okay, thank you so much. And just hold on, I'm seeing Makobura too is on the studio. Let me come to Papa Fololo, our good friend from Congo. I hope you're doing fine, and maybe also you, in a nutshell, what is your take on what happened today? And as Barak has suggested, is it for people or is it for individual benefits? But from the look of things and the history, he told us that at the end of the day, it will be beneficial to the leaders. Do you also share the same view, or you have different one?
Thank you, my brother. I want to thank you for appreciating my country so much. I wanted to get into what Baraka said.
Yeah.
What he has said is true. There is nothing else but what Baraka said. These leaders, they are not there for our benefit. They don't really matter. They don't even care about those things that you are saying, about good governance, about everything. They are just there because of their interest. And if you want to know, they are there because of their interest. Right now, you can see the president is all over saying that members of parliament are bribed and they are doing corruption deals and what have you. I don't think right now is when he has known that members of parliament are always like that. So if he's trying to say that that is what they are trying to mend, he's also lying to himself and lying to the Kenyan public that he's trying to bring these things to help the Kenyan population by saying that ati tutakuja tutachunguza hizi mambo, kwa nini ma MPs wanapata pesa, or they are stealing, or what have you, or the NADCO, or we are going to stop abduction, or all sorts of things. I don't believe in those kind of things. They are just there for themselves, and it's not the first time that you have seen this. It's like now that time that we are seeing things happening the same, about people coming together, having dialogues. Then after that dialogue, there is nothing that happens. You just see the same issues still continue. We have been having abductions since when? From 2007, or from when? We have been having abductions. They have been there. So right now is when we are going to stop them. Why did we not stop them? All those guys who are talking about these things, they have been there in the government since 2002. They have been there. Even in Moi time, they have been there. They have been there in 3 presidents. Now is the 4th one. Sorry, they have been there in 4 presidents: Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, and now they're in Ruto's government. So all of them, they have been there, and they have been doing the same thing, speaking of different results. So I don't think there is any result they can get from anything, and I can tell Kenyans to not wait on anything, any result, because there is nothing which will happen. Just as Baraka said, it's for their good interest. We don't actually even need, or are even important, have importance in what they are saying.
Okay, thank you so much, my brother. And I will also engage you because there are quite a number of things that we need to ask apart from politics when we're looking at the policies, the constitution, and governance, especially of the country. And Barack Azrolo gave us a synopsis of the history, including what happened with the Jubilee during the handshake of Jubilee. The former president, that is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and the Right Honorable Prime Minister. And the playbook tends to be the same. The only difference is that the characters in the playbook, some are the same, some are quite much they're not the ones who were playing those roles by then. Then let me also invite Makobura to say a word on what happened today on the broad-based PG. Then I will engage Barack, Miguda, then Joseph, I'll come to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Allow me to say hi to you first, Brother Ben. Allow me to say hi to Brother Barak. Allow me to say hi to Brother Miguda. And to our good friend, Joseph Kariuki, Papa Fololo, ndugu yetu kutoka upande ile ya Congo. And again, allow me to also say hi to our viewers. I can see some of them at the comment section. and to say thank you to them, and for finding time to join us this evening. Yeah, so the question that you've asked about ODM and UDA, I think it is just a sign of unity between the two political parties. It is a sign that they are currently enjoying working together. They are currently enjoying the political atmosphere that is an environment that, according to the ruling party, they are finding it easy to, run the affairs of the country. And, them coming together, I think it was also a sign that ODM and UDA got into an agreement of working together, just like what they read before the people on matters of unison between the two parties. So them coming together, I think, to me, it is just a reminder to the people who are having contrary opinion that they are still together, that they are still thinking together, they're still forging the way together. And I saw Baba, I was very happy. I think Baba is enjoying being in government. I saw him also addressing the meeting from the presidential what stand. So he's like a co-president. So on specifics of the things that they talked about, from my analysis, I can say that I don't think that was a sign that they are planning something towards 2027. Because if you see the parties coming together to start coming up with ways in which they can work together, I think that was actually the typical thing that they were doing. They are simply trying to start forging having a unity that of course is going to threaten those who are also planning to come out. You've seen the opposition, of course, led by Kalonzo, Kashagwa, among others, also uniting. But again, you're also seeing kuna kaforce kingine kinakuja hapa katikati ya kina Sifuna na kina Babu na kina wengine that are also trying to give another alternative. Yeah, so what I can say, much of it was not anything to discuss on solving more issues or more things. It was just a sign that they are planning to work together. It was just a sign that they are comfortably performing their duties with peace and in an environment that is conducive. You are muted.
Thank you so much, Makobura. And I think maybe there's something with our channel. I'm getting some text here that is not loading. Sometimes so few people can access us. I don't know what is happening, but hopefully it will fix itself, because like on our side, there's nothing that we've interfered with. So I don't know what is happening. So now it is the third person is now texting me, telling me that it is not loading and sound. I think Gypsy Corner 2 did it on the comment section, was asking us whether we are back, but we don't know what is happening. So, but it will fix it. So we'll look at it after the show. So, Barak, I want to bring you from the history perspective, and you look at the reason why we decided to have multi-party democracy. One of the reason was to have different voices, especially in terms of governance, because people were very tired of one party state, or one party that is a parliament that is run by one political party, whereby once something is said, it becomes the order of the day. So that's why the spirit of multipartyism came, and it was so much celebrated. But now when you look at that democracy of multipartyism, from the time we really got it to where we are today, do you feel, from what is happening or from what has happened in our political landscape, do you feel actually we are actualizing that spirit that was started, or we are retrogressing?
Thank you, thank you, Ben, for that. And the journey of political parties and multi-party democracy has been long. And if you observe what was happening before the introduction of multi-party democracy, and the journey up to now, which I think is about it's over 30 from 92 up to now. It's about 33 years.
Mhm.
So I believe Kenya has really made a milestone when it comes to multi-party democracy. The growth of the space, democratic space within the country,
Mhm.
and how it has included many players as opposed to before.
Yeah.
And and the freedom of expression and freedom of association, where people can associate and express themselves. I think it has been that's a milestone that Kenya has really realized under this and under the multi-party democracy.
Yeah.
However, I know many people argue that when the coming together of big political formations sometimes undermine the spirit of multi-party. But in my opinion, I think that's the freedom of association, because different formations are free to associate with whoever they deem fit to enhance their agenda or to enhance whatever they are doing for the country, and also either is it a political formation or is it in civil society, and so on and so forth. So I think the idea of having so many parties, personally, I think Kenya, we have abused that, because parties are just being formed for the sake of it. No objective, nothing. And if you take if you take stock of how many political parties have been formed since the introduction of multi-party democracy, you'll realize that even most of them are just there on paper. But in terms of even knowledge, the public does not even know most of these parties, because we only know those ones that are parliamentary, and even those ones that are popular. Because in every year people are registering parties, but they are not serving the objective of institutionalization of our politics. Because for democracy to grow in any society, political parties must be very strong institutions. Yeah, because they are the ones that nurture democracy in terms of how they operate politically and how they conduct their affairs. But in our scenario, political parties are not there as institutions. They are just there as there is that personalization of political parties, where we find party A is associated with so and so, and if you mention that party, that image comes in your mind, and without that person, then that party is as good as dead. And people form different political parties with the same idea. Others for business purposes, others for political competition. So I think the ideology or the spirit behind the formation of multi-party democracy has been abused in Kenya, because, for example, look at the party that has managed to form a government apart from KANU after the introduction of multi-party democracy. First, it was not a coalition of different parties. It collapsed before even the next election. In 2007, it was a PNU, another coalition of different parties. It collapsed again in 2013. It was Jubilee coalition, another coalition of URP and TNA. It collapsed. They collapsed their parties and they formed one party, Jubilee Party, in 2017. Jubilee as a party collapsed and gave birth to other smaller parties, UD and others. Now they came up, and now Kenya Kwanza has just it's like it's neither here nor there, and there is a very strong belief that by 2027 UDA will have another formation that will go to the election, and not as UDA, but not even as Kenya Kwanza, but a different name. So if you do comparative analysis with different countries, how political parties has grown and has matured and has been and has translated into strong institution. One of them is our neighbor here, Tanzania, where CCM has been a very strong political party with very strong structures. They have managed to ensure that there is no tribalism within that party and there is no personalization of that party. Yeah. If you go to Tanzania, you'll find that Mwalimu Julius Nyerere was a very strong political figure, but he did not personalize CCM to ensure that without him it is not there. So many presidents have come to office and have retired under the same party, and there is no vacuum. The people even don't feel that there's a vacuum. Even when John Pombe Magufuli passed away when he was the president, only I think about 4 months or 7 months after winning the second term, the vice president Mama Soluhu took over, and there was no leadership vacuum within the party. Yeah. And now they are going to another election. Now go to South Africa and look at the growth of CCM, ANC, that has been there for over 100 years. It has been one of the strongest political parties within the African sub-Saharan Africa region. So if you look at Kenya, ODM has been there for over 20 years now, but it is still that personalization of that party, that the leader has been the institution. Yeah. And if you withdraw that leader from that party, the party looks like it cannot really stand on its own without the leader. And you look at all these other political, look at Uhuru Kenyatta is a retired president, but Jubilee has not been able to move on without him. Yeah. That even that idea of imagining that Uhuru Kenyatta is no longer the leader of Jubilee, it's unthinkable. He wants to continue holding on to the leadership of that party, and he's a retired president. Has served more than 2 terms and retired. Yeah, and look at UDA, and UDA is just Ruto, and Ruto is UDA. If he leaves UDA today, all those his followers will leave UDA and join him wherever he's going. Will be going. Look at for the Kenya and Papa Roma. Look at these other small parties. Look at Wiper. Kalonzo has been changing the name each and every now and then and rebranding it. And so ours in our context, I think our political class have not really allowed us to enjoy what was the spirit, what was behind the spirit of multi-party democracy, because it has been so personalized that political parties have not functioned as strong institutions in Kenya.
So thank you. And now, then if that's the case, if that's the case, especially now when we are talking of the benefits or the growth that we've had in terms of when we want to measure 35 years of that, and you've talked about the political parties either die because the personification of it, because of personification, especially if the person behind the formation of that political party get in another political party, or they change the name of that political party, the other name tend to vanish from the public, then how then would we say that as a country we've moved on and enjoyed the spirit of democracy, even if you wake up people like Onyonka, people who really fought for the democracy? Today you wake them up from their grave and tell them, okay, this is what is happening, this is where you left us, and this is what we've actualized, and this is how we run our parliament. Do you think that they're going to give us better grading, or they're going to see themselves that they performed well than us?
I think you meant George Anyona or the anyway.
The who? I know him. The short guy. He's called who? Is it?
It's okay.
The people like yeah.
So I think they did better than us because number one, they were not doing anything for monetary gain. Currently, politics is the best paying career in Kenya, and in this politics, people go into it to enrich themselves. if you look at those guys that you have mentioned, those who are fighting for second liberation of this country, nobody was there for self gain. Nobody was there for monetary gain. I think politics in Kenya was corrupted from the parliament that came in after 2002 election, when they started increasing their salary unreasonably. They started allocating themselves CDFs, and they started becoming all of a sudden very rich, and they started now controlling resources. That is when Kenyan politics started losing value in terms of being pro people, and they started now for self gain. Someone living a lucrative career just joining politics so that they can enrich themselves. So just look at how Parliament has been behaving since since 2002, 2003 up to now. You'll find that every election it attracts more aspirants who wants to join Parliament, not because they want to serve the people, not because they want to fight for anything, but because they want to enrich themselves. But those who are fighting for multi-party democracy, those in 92, and who joined Parliament 92 and also 97, those guys were driven by their thirst for service, their quest to serve the nation, their quest to transform the nation and make their country a better place. And that is why they performed well, and most of them did not die wealthy. The way we can see young parliamentarians are extremely wealthy right now, and they cannot explain how they've acquired that wealth. It is because of what is happening in Parliament, and what is happening in the committees in Parliament, why they are scrambling for committee positions, why when they fail to get those positions, they become very, 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 very bitter with those who are dishing out those positions. It is because of the self-enrichment in terms of monetary gain in Parliament. If you look at, for example, someone like George Anyona, who was one of the people who are fighting for second liberation. The guy died, and remember, he was not even buried for more than 3 years because of the debt that he had. He died a poor guy. Even though he was a presidential candidate twice in 1997, and was it Kenya National Congress, KNC? So you can see these people, they were fighting for their country. They were not attaching their fight for self-gain. But right now, the verdict is out in the public domain on how we have young, even first-time members of parliament, second-time members of parliament, who are swimming in wealth. And if you start questioning that, then they will pay few goons, and they start making noise that their community are being targeted for political persecution. That is how low we have sunk as a country in terms of politics.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm seeing my good friend, we are moving into the right direction. Thank you so much, Kennedy Sankara, for your comment on the Facebook page. We really, really appreciate you. And let me engage Miguda before I bring in Makobura. Miguda, when you look at the multi-party democracy, among other things that they were fighting for strong institutions that can work. Talk about the parliament. They wanted a parliament whereby you cannot have monopoly over others, especially with what we are seeing here of what Barak has really said. That then. Apart from that, also we saw immediately the coalition that came in that made our political environment to make it very difficult for the country to win an election as a one party. You cannot come with one party to win election as compared to other countries, especially we are taking our neighbor here, Tanzania, even though they have leadership challenges. We are going also to South Africa, where we look at it, So immediately after the coalition came in, everything changed. Everything changed. I mean, what do you think? If you look at currently, do you think we will reach a point whereby we go back to the factory setting and bring that vision that these leaders, the legend, had for the country, so that we cannot see what is happening right now, whereby even president is talking about the committee of extortion of members of parliament. Just only to pass a bill, you need to pay up to around 10 million. That's where we are.
Okay, let's let me. I was listening to Barak and it made me laugh when he said that our committee is being targeted. That after someone as mercy as got a wealth, then he can buy some goods to say, okay, our committee is being targeted, and we're just an individual. So how is your committee being targeted? Anyway, that was very nice. So I wanted to say.
Thank you, Father. Father is with us here. Father is with us. Thank you so much, Father.
Yeah, I agree with you that the forefathers or the people who initiated the issue of multi-party democracy. You understand? I think maybe Barak and you might have been there by that time. Me, I was not present during the time of Nyayo, the time of Moi, before multi-party democracy. We have had stories that it was a difficult time in Kenya, whereby we had a single party state and things were not moving actually, and you know, there was no that freedom of association, expression. So it was something that people fought for, and some people died, some people were arrested, some people were detained, until we got the multi-party democracy. And when we got the multi-party democracy, I think that's the same year when I think it was the so-called Section 2 was repealed. Kenya became a multi-party democracy. And another thing also, the term limit was introduced. You know, people think that term limit was into the 2010 constitution, but term limit was introduced with the election of 1992 election. That's why Moi went for 2 terms, 92, 97, and Kibaki went for 2 terms, 207 and 202, but it was incorporated in the constitution. It was now envisages, because if it could be envisages by 2013, it means Kibaki could still run in 2013, but he never ran because it was brought in together with the multi-party democracy. So at that time, Kenya got 2 things: multi-party democracy and also the limitation of the presidential term limit. I can say the intention was good because of the history of the country and the experience of the people by then. You know, most of them were in parliament and they understand the experience so well. But when I think they had the intention that we can have, like we have said very clearly, coalition, whereby we can end up with coalition to form a government. You know, by forming coalition, it means that more than one party. So it was very prudent to have many parties. But like if you come together, you can form like the issue of NAC. We have said the court tried it. Court failed in 2013, and also NAC failed 2017. Azimio the same failed. So you bring them together. But I'm seeing a thing whereby maybe these people made that multiple democracy with some people in mind, that all regions, maybe you can have because our politics are more of based, local based politics, that maybe you can have a Luo Kamba association, because even remember from the history, where things like Young Cavalry Association, Young Kikuyu Association. So we can't run from all these tribal based politics, because this is the initiation of politics. We have come from far. So they were being informed that if we can have, for instance, ODM and Wiper coming together. So they were omitting that we might have a unifying party for a certain region, that maybe the Nyanza political party or the Kamba political party, the Kikuyu. But they were forgetting that at one point in life, even in that Nyanza or in that Luo, people can still have divergent opinion. Like in Nyanza, we have the ODM, we have the MDG for David Ochieng, and David Ochieng is in parliament, the MDG elected. We have the UGM, the one for Agostino Neto, from Diwa. We got the PDP, the one Obado took from somebody in Kisii, and understand. So if you can have like those parties, so which one are you going to form coalition with, and which one are you going to omit? I think that one They never saw that one. That's why today we are ending up with so many political parties, meaningless. Some are just being formed. Like you understand, some people just form political party. Right now, there is one which has been formed by our good friend Ondiek, the good friend of us, Ondiek has formed Ondiek and Maliba. So them, they are saying is an alternative to ODM. If it is an alternative to ODM, remember we have MDG and UGM. The MDG and UGM will tell you that if you have felt that you have been treated unfairly by the ODM primaries, you can join our party. So the same thing UGM and MDG are saying, the same thing Ondiek is saying. So to me, the intent could be good, being informed by our history and where we are projected to go. But now implementation, most of these things now we are realizing them when we are caught up with them, the catch-22 situation. That's now that's when we are realizing that, okay, at some point they were progressing, we were making progress by the forefathers, but currently we are missing it. Like what you have. Why do we have like 208 political parties? Because we are a multi-party democracy, but at the end of the day, we end up with two coalition at the presidential election, each and every election. We have ended up with the popular ones, the top presidential. What about the other political parties? What their purpose? And they don't even make it to parliament, even they don't make it to MCS. But we are not saying that there is no room for multi-party democracy. We support multi-party democracy, but when it comes to the issues of institution, sometimes it's not working very effectively. Even remember right now what we have in parliament. Because
Miguda, let me ask you. I want to know your purpose, because like you're doing well, but that's something that I want to know. In your own opinion, do you feel that when we are offering, or when we are coming up with a party as an alternative to another particular party, or as an avenue of airing our views that we cannot air on those other parties that we were at, because at some point the people who formed this political party, they were at a party somewhere, and they feel maybe their grievances or their ideology is not the ideology have changed, let me say that, but now when you come and sit down and analyze it well, do you think the intent is to offer that alternative avenue, or the interest is to compete for resources, especially knowing very well that if I get more people, I will get money from Exchequer?
That is true. I agree with you. But even that Exchequer, there is that number that you must bring to parliament. Exchequer, I can have a political party. Not that each and every political party must give money to Exchequer. Because what's the purpose? Do you have members of parliament? Do you have governors? Do you have MCS? So I can have a political party and I have no any representation in the governance. How am I going to be given money from Exchequer? So this issue of Exchequer, you can it's fine. For instance, UGM cannot have an Exchequer, and even it's a matter of Exchequer, how much can you give a person with 2 members of parliament or one member of like the issue of MDG, one lawmaker? In comparison to the party like ODM and UDA, in terms of comparison, what the ODM and the UDA are getting. And what I want to say is that, in my own opinion, behind the curtains, when we discuss with these party leaders the intent of forming this political party, they'll tell you that not even the issue of alternative. Some of them are just playing politics. They want to be identified so that they can be incorporated into other alliances. But even if you make a political party, it must be a significant. What do you offer in terms of governance? How many people are you bringing to the house? How many people are you bringing to the council of governance? You can't just come out with a political party and other than that, if it must be alternative, if I'm dissatisfied with the ODM primaries, I have that alternative to run as an independent. We have had people elected under independent. It doesn't mean that when ODM has not favored me, I must go to your political party. I have also that right to come as independent, because you understand, even there were some members of parliament who came to parliament through independent ticket. So maybe I don't want to discourage people to form political party, or I don't want to discourage the multi-party democracy. But I'm saying, all in all, you can find out that the intention of the people forming these political parties might not be the issue of getting money from exchequer, might not be the issue of giving us alternatives. Maybe they have, like, you understand, politics about interest.
Yeah.
Some people might felt that if a political party can be called, for instance, right now, if I can have a formidable political party in Nyanza, maybe I can be called by the DCP to come and challenge the ODM in Nyanza or in the URP. Lastly, in the UDA. Lastly, you remember, it is not only differing ideologically or the issue of people forming political parties. Some also must be influenced by the interest. You know, when Ruto wanted to become the deputy president of Uhuru Kenyatta, when he walked out of ODM, he cited things like that ODM, Raila is everything. That the rule number one, Babu is always right. And rule number two, Babu is never wrong. And the last rule, which is very important, that if rule number two fails to apply, refer to rule number one. So to say, okay, how can someone be right and someone cannot be wrong? So sisi tuendeze the first one. I don't know, it was UDM or it was whatever. So to me, Ruto was very strategic that if I can have my political party, I walk out of ODM with the significant members, I can form a strategic alliance with the Uhuru Kenyatta so that we can win election. And it worked for them. So sometimes it's not a matter of differing ideological. Sometimes it might be interest. Like right now, what we are seeing in the ODM, the Kenya Moja. Kenya Moja, maybe due to their political ambitions and interests, can force them to walk outside of the ODM. So it is not always about the issue of alternative, and it is not always the issue of getting money from exchequer. Some can be influenced by the issue of ambitions, interest, and other things.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Miguda, for that. And Makobura, I will ask you the question, then you will stand in for me because I need to attend to. So there's an issue that is coming up. Makobura, I want to bring you in this, looking at the formation of the multi-party democracy, especially those parties that were formed, especially after the repeal that Miguda was talking about, and the people like Jaramogi Oginga Odinga came with the Ford Kenya and other parties that came. Maybe they were carrying themselves like with values, and even the people who were given the positions were not given the position not because they are from a particular tribe or not because they were coming from a particular region, but they were given those positions bearing in mind that they had the mandate and the values that it takes to all those positions. And if you look at how the journey has been, especially with the coming of the new political parties that we have, especially the one we are talking about, and what is happening currently in politics, where the political parties can merge, not only merging with ODM, even the Azimio, when they came together, the Jubilee, whereby people merge not only because of their political interest, but given position in terms of your numerical power. When you look at that, do you think we can reach a point whereby it will be something of the past and go back to those visions that we had, or that the democracy of multipartyism had? So we bring them and try to bring it into the leadership so that we can see difference even on how we've governed. Makobura, are you there?
Yes. You know, the challenge that we've been facing in Kenya is, yes, we have a leadership that we've always selected leaders who are there and are supposed to be doing their role. But unfortunately, what we've been seeing is just negligence, or a leadership that forgets their responsibility. Something else is that we've seen a unity that is consistent within the political class. a unity, of course, that is brought about or brought together by personal needs of those particular leaders. So as much as they are coming together, they're still not coming out to sort the issues or the problems that are being faced by the people of Kenya. And it is aware of I think it's a way. It's a lesson that we are getting as a people, that we need to partly focus on our lives as a people. And as we focus on our lives, we also have to know that political moves or political decisions squarely lies on the decisions that we make as a people. Those decisions really matter, because when we don't make the right decision, we will forever walk or be led by a leadership that do not really understand the needs of the people. Coming together of the political class is a sign that, of course, they are also trying to block other people who are who are coming out to say the truth or to give some truth, to coming out to show the people the right direction. So it is becoming a threat to the political class, and that is why we are even seeing the UDA party and ODM coming together to start strategizing early enough on what to expect in the coming 2027. If truly these people, the political class cared and they wanted to solve each issues which are being brought forth by the people, then we would have seen different people having different ways of coming up with different political ways. But what we are seeing now is a unity that is coming, a unity that is being brought by what I can call personal needs. Just like Barack did say sometimes back, that politics currently in the Republic of Kenya is the most paying job, and it is the best business that anyone can want or would want to get into. So we need to, as a people, we need to get to understand that whatever happens in the government really, it in one way or another affects our normal way of lives. It affects our quite a number of things. When economy is affected in one way or another, it is reflected on wananchi. So it is upon the people, yes, to make the right decisions by coming out to single out, to point out the negativity that we are seeing within the government, not government only, but among the leaders. They need to come out and point out and stand firm with the truth. Because if they don't, the political class will regroup, and once again they get into power, they will want to lead in a manner that they want, or in a manner that makes them happy. That is what I can say. Barack, you want to give your opinion on the same question?
Hello, Marco Bura.
Yes, I can hear you.
Please come again. Sijakupata vizuri. Network imeleta shida kidogo.
Okay, Barack, yesterday you were supposed to give us some brief on football. Did you manage to start with that today?
No.
Okay, then I think you can give us your final remarks. You can give us your take on that before.
Final.
Yeah. So first, you can give us an update of what happened on Sunday. That is the game between Kenya and Zambia. An overall analysis of how it went, and of course the expectation and what it turned to be. Again, you can tell us why Kenyans footballers are currently playing a game, an excellent game. They're becoming serious players in the field. Could it be because of the motivation they're being given? Could it be that what we've lacked as a country is, recognizing talent, and especially like football? I mean, we are not as a country rewarding our footballers in a manner that befits their talent. And you can again give us your take on why you think that they're coming out to be very aggressive this time round compared to the many times that they've always played. After that, we'll get to EPL.
Well, thank you. I think the Harambee Stars are trying to play a very impressive game right now and winning. You know, football is also about winning, and they've managed to do that. And one of the key factor here is motivation. What is motivating them? It is because of the support they're receiving from the head of state and also from Kenyans. From the head of state, that is monetary support, and also visiting them. Like after every game, he visits them. That gives them motivation that even the president acknowledges their effort. And apart from just visiting them, has been giving them good reward from their hard work, which I think has been the key motivating factor here. You know, for many years, football has not been recognized by the subsequent government that has been there. And I don't know if you can remember during Uhuru's time, Kenya Rugby, the Kenya Sevens, the Rugby Sevens was playing very well, and they even went ahead and won, I think, a trophy in Singapore Sevens. And because by then Uhuru was really supporting the rugby team. And remember, Kenya became that team became a global giant during Uhuru's time. And Kenya, for many years, athletics has always been the only sport that has been receiving government support. Remember, many athletes have been rewarded handsomely by this government. But now, I think this is the only time that we are seeing that football is getting this kind of reward from the head of state, and the kind of support that is giving them. And Kenyans love football, and you know, your love of football can only thrive when the team is giving you result. You go to the field, you cheer them, they win. You go home feeling good. You come again, you cheer them, they win. You go back home feeling. So I think that is what also gives them motivation. The support from the fans, that noise in the stadium. And I just want to also to say that Kenyans did very well yesterday by abiding by the regulations that resolution that Chan gave, and I think that was very good. That discipline that we witnessed yesterday should just continue, and it was a good thing that the also FKF came up with those viewing points where Kenyans flocked just to support their team away from the stadium. And now Kenya is in quarterfinals, and it's a good thing that they won yesterday. Because now they are going to face at least a weaker team in the quarterfinals. That is Madagascar. Number one, because they are going to still play at home at Nyayo Stadium. That Moi Sports Center Kasarani. Remember, if they could have drawn or lost yesterday, they could have gone to play in Tanzania, in Benjamin Mkapa Stadium, Dar es Salaam, and that could have been like not good for us as a country, and even for our team, because number one, Tanzania is playing a very good football down there, and remember them being home could have played against us as a team. Now playing Madagascar on Friday, I think it's a good thing for us, and I'm seeing Kenya going direct to the semifinals after that, and I hope we are going to play in Uganda semifinals, not Tanzania, because I'm not really sure, because semifinals are played in Uganda and Tanzania, then finals will be played in Nairobi. So once we qualify for the semifinals, we'll travel either to Uganda or Tanzania, and I hope we go to Uganda, because Tanzanians hawatutakii mazuri sana. compared to Uganda. So after that, we hope that we'll qualify for the finals so that we can come back and play the finals in Nairobi, and ultimately lift that trophy for the first time, being the first time we are hosting and also the first time we are participating in it. And remember that will also make these young boys the newest millionaires in town, because okay, they're already millionaire, but that will give them more millions to take home with. Remember, President promised 600 million together with a bonus of 3-bedroom affordable housing. And remember, Sonko said he will top up with 400 million. So that will make it 1 billion Kenya shillings. And I know others will also add something on top. Yesterday, we saw the from Prime Minister topping the 2.5 with 500,000 each. So they went home with 3 million each. So we know that if they win the finals, many people, some corporates will also come in and give them more awards. So I believe that this is a golden opportunity for these young boys to transform their life for forever, and this will also pile pressure now on the senior team, because it is not just this is like a junior team, because this is a local based players. So we are having some matches here in September, World Cup qualifiers. So the success of this local based players is going to spill over and impact the success of the senior team. And I wish that the coach will not do much change, because this team has played together. They've shown that they have the capacity they have the spirit, they have the will to win matches. So I hope he is not going to just to bring in players from abroad because they are playing internationally and maybe without getting results that we need as a country, because this should be a springboard for us to qualify for the World Cup in that is being held next year. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa.
Okay, thank you, Barak. There was I heard some people saying that it could be that the problem or the challenge you've been facing with Kenyan football team is the issue of betting companies coming in. There's some people who are arguing that the betting companies are today controlling the football, and it is not giving the footballers an opportunity to do more in terms of doing or showing their skills enough in the field. Could that be really something true?
How? Maybe I'm not understanding what you are saying. You mean betting companies controlling footballers? How?
Let me tell you, for example, you see the betting companies, they've been influencing things to do with match. How is it called? Is it match fixing
Match
or what?
fixing.
Yeah,
match fixing
could that
supply,
be a challenge that we've been facing, and could it be the reason why we've not been seeing our players giving their best in the field?
No, I don't think so, because remember, match fixing is a crime. And once you participate, you engage in match fixing as a player, you are supposed to be banned. And betting companies are all over the world, and they contribute hugely to the growth of sports. I think Kenya, we just attach negativity to betting companies, but if you go even to these major leagues, betting companies play a critical role in growing the sport, because they are giving back by supporting the sport itself that they are gaining from. Even if in EPL, I think that we have few teams that are supported by betting companies. I don't know if you've seen that. So once there's procedures, there are laid down structures for these companies to operate without being compromised. They are just they will contribute to the growth of sports. They are not there to influence players not to play effectively. Remember, even in athletics we have doping. So those are specific individuals, maybe who have decided to commit crime in the name of engaging in match fixing, or it's like just also using forbidden substances so that you can enhance your capacity as a sports person. So those are illegalities that I don't think have room to influence in anything in our sports.
Okay, thank you. And maybe the last thing that I'd also want you to give your take in is the match that we had yesterday that was between Arsenal and Manchester United. And, we had quite a number of our viewers yesterday. And remember, while we were having that discussion the other day, we really hoped that we were going to do some. I mean, Manchester was going to do something, that would make Arsenal, and you know how Arsenal supporters behave, and we didn't really see that. What is your take? What can you say about the
What is it
game?
that we did
Wengine
not
hata
see?
walikuwa nasema ulipotea kwa sababu ya the outcome of the game.
Hao ni watu ambao hawajui mambo ya mpira ndio wanafikiria hivyo. I don't know if you watch the match you will agree with me that it was normally in football, if you don't take your chances, your opponent will. And yesterday, personally, I was impressed by the game. In as much as the Manchester United lost 1-0, and that 1-0 was a result of a goalkeeping error. Remember, Manchester United do not have a goalkeeper up to now, and I don't know if they are planning of getting one soon, because if they continue playing the season without goalkeeper, they are going to have so many problems. Even though the front line is very good, they were so much impressive yesterday. By the way, I don't know if you've ever enjoyed watching Manchester United play the same as yesterday. It has been a while since I enjoyed watching Manchester United play like as yesterday. And if you look at Arsenal was lucky. Even Arteta himself said that they were lucky to come out of Old Trafford with 3 points. And to them, it was a good start. It was a good for Manchester United. I believe it was also a good start as compared to last season, because if when you lose a match and you feel that you are the best team, even look at the statistics. For the first time, United leading Arsenal in terms of possession, in terms of even the passes, in terms of even the shots on top. I think the Manchester United that played last season, I think kama ni wangecheza jana hivyo wangepigwa even 3-0. I think I was expecting worse to happen, but how they played, it was very impressive, with only bringing on board only the two major signings from last that is Mbeumo and Kunha, and also introducing Zesco at the tail end of the match. To me, I think yesterday the Manchester United played very well. It's only that sometime in football you play well, but lack of getting goals is not on your side. So we are going to monitor how they are going to continue with the coming matches. Next, I think they are going to Fulham, Craven Cottage. So we are going to see how they're going to play that. But as a Manchester United fan, I know we don't have a goalkeeper, and I don't know what the board is planning to do about that, because they need to get a goalkeeper. Because if they don't do that, then we are going to have a big problem as a team. And also, someone in the middle. They also need to have to bring in one midfielder, at least to help to strengthen the middle, because the midfield is also showing some weaknesses. But the front is okay, the forward is okay. Now, what a goalkeeper and midfield kidogo, but the back line is okay, forward is okay, shida iko tu katikati na kwa goalkeeping, because Onana is sio goalkeeper kushikia United. Hata huyu mtu Baidir ni bure kabisa, and we don't even have I don't know Hito. Those are not goalkeepers that match the standard of Manchester United. So that was my observation. But I think Man City started the league very well, beating Wolves away 4-0. That was very impressive. And I remember I said here the day before that the team to watch is this season is Man City. Hata Chelsea walianza aje wakatoka drop na Crystal Palace at home, but they are also looking very serious. So those are the teams to watch. If you look at Arsenal play yesterday, I think they should be worried. If you understand football and you're an Arsenal fan, you should be worried how Arsenal played yesterday, because that is not Arsenal that we know how they usually play. Arsenal that we know in terms of ball possession, in terms of pressing and attacking, that is not Arsenal that we know. They played poorly, and instead of celebrate, they should go back to the drawing board and try to look at the challenge that they have. If they need to sign and more players, they should do so, because depending on this goal quest from supporting Lisbon, I think they are going to be disappointed by mid-season. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Barak. I don't know whether Njiro wants to talk about Arsenal, Manchester United before we release you, Barak.
Ni sawa. Wacha niingilie hapo kidogo.
To go.
I'm not an extreme fan of sports or football or basketball, those things, because I believe that developing nations like ours should not be focusing on sports. You focus with the sports when you reach a development level. That is why when you go to China, you'll not meet Chinese talking about football, even though they have a population of 1 billion people. If you go to India, you'll not meet them talking about football. Yeah, because there are some sports which you are supposed to focus on them when you have grew a very serious and robust system. So, and if you see, like in Africa and in Kenya, majority of the sports which thrive well are only the sports which they don't need a lot of serious support system. That's why tukienda kwa World Cup unakuta sasa sisi tunaponyea tu kidogo kidogo, but the people who have a serious robust system, they will always defeat us. So even though places like India, they focus with the games like cricket, where Chinese focus with things like Tai Chi and some other personal games, I feel Africa can do a lot of work if they focus on other things other than sports, especially like football. Africa can focus on football in 2050 after we make sure we have developed a methodological system whereby funds can be able to easily afford the gate pass. We can be able to have our teams being owned by our local people, like the way you see, like in England, you can hear like this club is owned by these people. I'm saying you cannot develop sports where your economy is in tatters. So that is why I do not believe we need to focus on sports now. Tunaanzia kupanda muti kutoka juu badala ya kuanzia kupanda muti kutoka chini. So kama sisi kuna kitu lazima tufanye ya maana in Kenya, we are pretending that we are serious in sport. We are not. There's no in which you can grow sports and you are talking about corruption, nepotism, other things. So lazima the basic infrastructure ikuwe sawa. So away from that, I'm very proud. Manu ilipigwa jana. I usually have a personal vendetta with Manu. I'm so sorry. Like I usually have a very bad hatred for Manu. So kitu mbaya kitendekea Manu, I usually get happy. I don't know why, but mtu tu niongea na mtu aniambie bwana, like fani wa Manu aniambie leo kama niko na stress sana tumepigwa. I usually get thrilled and happy. Hata hiyo mfuko kama
but why? Can you kindly give us a reason why?
No, I just hate Manu. Like it's something which I cannot explain. There was a time when Manu slaughtered people so much. I think in the 90s and I don't know, somewhere 90s and the 80s up and early 2000. So I think Manu was like so much ruthless. Iliyokota vikombe sana hapo. And this hatred is not in me alone. Do you know, by the way, unaonanga kuna watu, some of us who do not love Manu, unaweza kuta yani ile chuki inakuanga hapo kwa Manu ni chuki squared. It's chuki squared. So It's so
Yeah,
unfortunate that
maybe before I'm getting back to you, Njiru will proceed. Allow me to give Barak, because he was finishing, to react to your comments and then give his final remarks, and then I'll come back to you with some few politics before we end it. Barak.
Thank you for that contribution from my co-panelist, Bwananjiru. But I don't agree with what he's saying about developing sports if your economy is in tatters, because sports about talent. And just to remind him that Brazil won World Cup several times with zero with the being a third world country. Remember, even Uruguay has won World Cup twice, and it's a third world country. And the biggest economy in the world, like the US, in terms of football, they've not gone past second round. Yeah. And so sport is general. Countries normally focus on what they can do better. And that is why Kenya has dominated athletics for some time, for many years. Since independence, Kenya has been doing very well on the Olympics and anything to do with athletics. In terms of football, we have talent, but it's not good enough to compete with some talent, maybe from West Africa, and even from sometimes from South Africa. But with good structures in place and nurturing of that talent from the grassroots, we believe that Kenya can challenge these other West African countries. Now, look at example of Kenyan economy. You cannot compare Kenyan economy with Cameroonian economy, and Cameroon has been a giant in African football. Look at a country like Ghana. Ghana has been a giant in African football. So talent and economy, those are not they are not proportional. That you must have talent, you must go talent if you have a good economy. India has been focusing on what they can do better, cricket, and even the Chinese and so forth. And remember, even Japan is a huge economy globally, and so even sport is one way of growing economy, because sporting activity, for example, the contribution of EPL to the GDP of England is very huge. So sometimes some countries who have developed structures, they use sport to generate as a revenue generating activity. It's not just like leisure and everything. We look at it as leisure, but then they look at it as revenue generating activity. So it depending with the country systems, sport can be a huge enterprise, a huge industry. Imagine growing your league to a level that the whole world is watching. That is revenue, generating revenue for the country.
That, but
Attracting. Excuse me, let me finish. Excuse me.
Kenya. We have too many problems.
Nani,
let me tell you, sport.
Njiru, Dr. Njiru, kindly
when someone is speaking and I give them time to speak, and when I start speaking, they interrupt me. I don't take it lightly, because the debating, the good etiquette of debating is that when you are speaking, you articulate your points. When you finish, then you give your counterpart a chance to say what they believe. But we do not nani. Taonana kesho bana.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for that. I just wanted to nilikuwa nikireinforce what I was saying. Is and I'm sorry for that. If you felt hurt, sorry for that, Barak. You see, what I'm trying to say is that there are some things you cannot focus on right now. Let me tell you, Kenya focusing on sports is a waste of time. Sport needs a very serious support system. You cannot be talking of corruption and money is getting lost. People are being sent in Brazil. Like there was some time I did see you at the end of the Olympics. They could not even be able to sleep well. Like there is a system which can only thrive. Forget about what is happening in Chan. Unajua hii maneno ya Chan is not something inaweza kudanganya. You think like ati ni venye sasa ati Kenyan football has improved. Our football has not improved. Anyway, I thank God pale tumefika, because sifikiri tumeifika hapo, lakini if you take this Chan success, it is like the same Chan success which was in Zambia. Hii mnagonga saa hii ama bwana Obura, ujui Zambia wameichukua Chan, waligonga hapa Ivory Coast. Obura, can you hear me?
I haven't really followed, so I
Yeah,
can't
in 2012, 2013, Zambia was very dangerous when they were having somebody called Katongo. Zambia akina Katongo was very dangerous. The same Zambia tunapiga sai. So that's what I'm trying to say is that Kenyan success is, we can only say that Kenya has succeeded in football if we succeed like in 3 tournaments. Hii tournament maybe Mungu atusaidie tufike semi-finals, we go in another one tufike quarter final. So that's how you judge but you cannot judge with one. So we are on the right track, but we have to be consistent. So ili sasa tuingie sasa kwa hiyo ligi ya Kenya is a footballing country, but right now we cannot claim Kenya is a footballing country. It could be actually sheer luck. Tumefika hapo, then after some time tukienda in other tournaments which are not in Kenya hatuko. So on that I disagree. Personally, I feel Africa has to focus on something else. Let's focus on building our economy. Let's focus on employment. Let's empower people such that people in Embu have money. I can go to Moi Stadium Embu, watu 6,000 wanaweza ingia hapo, kila mtu akiwa amelipa 200 nao nikiwa pesa mingi, and they can be able to afford that money every Sunday, such that or every weekend when a certain team is playing wako huko, and the same people can also afford money to travel, because you can imagine like places like in England, when Liverpool is playing downtown and down city, like when Liverpool has to go to Man City, that means there's traveling. You cannot travel if you don't have money. So you begin by empowering the economic status. But remember, you don't want sports only to be in Nairobi. You want to demobilize. You want you want those sports to happen in Kisumu. I want, when Gor Mahia is playing in Embu, many fans of Gor Mahia can travel from Kisumu and they go to Embu because they have financial capacity to do it. Or in Kenoru Stadium in Meru, I want people can travel all the way from Samburu to Kenoru to go and watch football. What does it mean? That time tuko na railway network mzuri. We don't need to rely on the roads because roads are risky. So if we have or air transport is massive in Kenya, like in places like Europe, unakuta like air transport is massive. You can easily travel from point A to point B. So hii yetu tunajifanya like we are a footballing nation is very artificial. It's not something you can judge and say that Kenya has moved on it. So that's why I insisted on the issue of having a supportive infrastructure. So like if Kenya has serious airports, if we have railway network which is cutting across major cities, and we have tracks for people, we are not only going to Mombasa alone. Railway inaweza kufikisha Mandera, then from there we can easily take a vehicle to the stadium. We can actually grow the sport. But sasa ile shida iko ni in Kenya, hata tukiwa na sport, we can only see it because you are in Nairobi. Go and look at like the people who are watching Harambee Stars. They are people from Nairobi, majority of them. Can you tell me by ratio, Barabura, how many people are traveling from up country to go and watch Harambee Stars? Ni wangapi? I'm not sure if we have any. So what I was trying to explain is that I was not discrediting and discounting all the things which are happening, but we can actually see more sport enthusiasm if the economy is good, if people can afford, instead ya watu wanavuja gate because wataki kulipa, na si ati wataki kulipa sababu wako na pesa, it is because they have no capacity to do it. So mimi nataka ukiambua hata game inalipiwa ngiri, uko na hiyo ngiri mfuko, you can actually afford that money. So that's how we can be able to create our sports and redefine our sport in the in the best manner possible. So that's what I wanted to insist on. Economy can actually dictate how the sport grows because you can decentralize it. Sahi hata ukileta game Embu na unalipisha, hakuna mtu anataka kwenda stadium, hata ukisema watu walipe 200. So that was my argument. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jiru, for giving us your take. And maybe just maybe a summary of on the politics side. Senate, President Ruto is saying that the Senate extorted 150 million, and the president wants MPs of arrest over extortion. And then there is, of course, Ruto alleges a governor paid 120 million to committees. And then there's something else that is also, you just give you a summary of all this. Raila was also urging members of parliament to focus on oversight, but not bribes. And then he's also telling them that money should be taken to the counties. They should stop this thing of NGCDF. And then something else that you can give your take on is, of course, these remarks of Raila partly sparked anger among the majority of lawmakers who are saying that, who are actually not happy with that. And again, today there was something on, there was I call it PG between ODM and UDA. And we did see the Secretary General of ODM, we didn't see Babu Owino, we didn't see Caleb Amisi, just among others. What is your general take on the stand?
Yeah,
what
on
was
that,
discussed? Yes.
ODM is clinically dead. So I think ODM will not be able to survive this. The fact that they decided to solemnize their marriage with UDA, they are done. So it's not a wonder why you cannot see some. So ODM is a split party. I expect now, forget about vile kulikuanga na ODM asili, ODM original na ODM Kenya. ODM is further going to split. So ODM is a party on deathbed. You cannot rescue it. The day when ODM decided to work with UDA, Mr. Ruto, they decided to go in theater without anesthesia. Waliamua kupasuliwa bila kukupishwa ganzi, and the results are fatal, is death. So it's unfortunate that ODM decided to exterminate themselves. They cannot be rescued. So, and what I would advise our friends from Nyanza or people who have actively been supporting ODM, they think quickly and they reassemble another political party. Otherwise, they will end up losing those people to some other political parties which are roaming around. It's not a wonder, even you start seeing even people in Nyanza wakitaka kujisukumilia DCP. Because so there must be somebody in Nyanza who will have courage to form another political party. But moving forward, I think Mr. Raila Odinga has become obsolete in terms of political quotient. So I don't think Raila Odinga commands the moral authority of centralizing people to one code of thinking. I think he has lost that. And it's unfortunate he has lost it in his sunset years, where he was supposed to be commanding a lot of respect. Yeah, without discrediting those people who are booing him, but Raila Odinga should understand the reason why he is being booed. I don't know the main reasons why he is being booed, but part of the reason is that Raila Odinga has lost respect. Raila Odinga needs to know now, although niliona ati ni kama aliandika except ati alisema ati we decided with Mr. Ruto, I helped him to stabilize the government. It is so unfortunate that he helped somebody who was not serious in governing to stabilize the government. So as he was helping Ruto, he was destroying himself. That is the problem we have, Bwana Ken. So you can choose to help somebody through destroying yourself, and that is what he decided. Yes, it is true, Ruto has been stabilized. Ruto has been given extra days in power by the purpose that Raila Odinga has decided to use himself as human shield. But huwezi tumika kama human shield and you are still saying you are alive. Raila Odinga is a human shield for Ruto. So yeah, he is the one who is receiving all the bullets. And at the end of it all, he will get out of this politically dead. Because a human shield has to die. You know, that's what happened. So it is unfortunate that was his parting shot in politics. But I hope men of courage will give people in Nyanza and other areas which are the dominance of ODM a new direction. But Raila Odinga is no longer that voice which represented the weak and the humble and the enthusiast. He is gone and gone forever. But it's unfortunate. This is the way in which he has gone. There are better ways of getting out of stage. But it's so embarrassing getting out of stage with this embarrassment. Calculation is good, but Raila Odinga did not deserve. Hata kama Ruto anampea nini, whatever he is facing does not require him being with Ruto. It's too much for him to face what he is facing, to just collect bullets for Ruto. At times it's good to say enough. He will lose nothing quitting Ruto. And in any case, he will try to help Ruto and still Ruto will lose the next election. So he will be embarrassed 15 times. So I don't know who speaks with Raila Odinga, but Raila Odinga is very bright, unfortunately, especially at this moment. You try to be used by somebody as a human shield, and then at the end of the day, he loses the election, or he doesn't move an inch. So as Ruto crashes, Raila Odinga would have crashed a long time ago. I wish he knows that, and he can retract. These are signs that he is losing all the legacy he had assembled millions of years ago. He has suffered, and it's so unfortunate for Raila Odinga to finish the race this way. Even the Bible says the end of a matter is more important than the beginning of a matter. So Bwana Father unaweza tuandikia hiyo ni verse gani? The end of a matter is important than the beginning of a matter. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Njir, for finding time to join us. And maybe if there is anything else that is still pending that you'd want to give your comment on before we finish, that maybe any question that I might not have asked and you can give your take on. Jiru? Okay.
No, nimemaliza.
Okay, you've given okay, sawa.
Yeah, that is enough. Wacha tupatane kesho.
Okay, fine, thanks. Allow me to acknowledge and to say a big thank you to Gypsy Corner, to Father Didi, to I saw Brenda, I saw Judith, I saw Eric Osewe, I also saw John, I also saw John, and everyone who joined. I want to take this opportunity to really appreciate and to say that we are very happy with the support that you're giving us. Thank you so much for finding time to join us and to give us your take. Not forgetting, I want to thank the panelists, Brother Ben, Brother Miguda, Brother Barak, Brother Joseph, and Brother Njiru for finding time to join us and to give their take. We really appreciate. This is Brother Benson Media, and here we say that your opinion counts. If you're watching for the first time, kindly like and subscribe to the channel. It is a way of supporting us, and if you do so, tutashukuru. Allow me now to take this opportunity to wish you all a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye for now.